You are listening to the Park Flyer Podcast, where we discuss our RC adventures.
Welcome to the Park Flyer Podcast, where we discuss the ups and downs of the new RC Flyer. Join your hosts, Michael and Jay, as they take flight at the park. Now on with the show.
Hello, everybody. Welcome to the Park Flyer Podcast. I'm Michael from Arizona. And with me always is my good friend,
Jay from the hills of Texas.
And welcome to part 2 of my Texas visit.
Heck yeah, man.
Hard to believe it's over.
It went a little quick.
Yeah, it did go quick.
And we didn't even get to, like, half the stuff we wanted to do.
Well, I know, big plans. You have, all these plans, and then I come down, and one thing leads to another, and then all of a sudden you're like, wow, all this time's passed, and all these big plans that we made, and we didn't even get through a portion of them.
Well, after everything's said and done, we did have some good news and some bad news.
This is true.
So
I think on the last podcast, we didn't have a radio, right?
Day one.
Yeah.
We flew day one, flew my brand new EDF one time around the patch, landed to make some, adjustments and changes and swap the battery out, get ready. You had to abort the flight. We bring the plane back. I'm looking at not damage, but, the control arm that fell off. You went back to making some radio. You were going to make some radio adjustments. Click my radio on, and it starts spouting stuff about send me back to the factory, please.
Right. Yeah, that was kind of weird. It had a hardware system fault, and we contacted the guys at Horizon, and they gave us, kind of a good response. It took them a couple days. Well, I'm sure they're getting like 600 or 700 emails a day. But,
yeah, sure. I don't fault the guys for that, but
no,
it's just one of those things where we wanted to get it fixed.
Sure.
Could we fix it ourselves?
Right.
We did a cursory look on the internet. You kind of knew what to do a reset.
Right, but it didn't work as well.
We attempted to do it, and then we finally get the reply back from them. About 3 days later, and they say, "Hey, man. All you got to do, it's a software, fault or whatever. You probably don't have to send it back to us. Just, reset it or change the page." That's what they were saying. Just go to a different page, get off the model, make a new model, yada, yada, yada. Well, we're just looking at this thing. We couldn't change the page. We couldn't do anything. We couldn't
get off that.
Exactly.
The same fault page. It wouldn't go. None of the buttons would work.
No, not at all.
So, and I knew that there was a reset, that you're supposed to hold the scroll wheel down and turn it on, and I did that probably 10 times, and I never could make this thing work.
Yep, absolutely.
And so finally we got somebody wrote back from Horizon and said, "Oh, you got to hold it down for like 15 seconds."
Right, but I had already discovered that a day before we got that email. It was the day before that, so a whole week had gone by.
Right.
We lost a whole week.
Right.
That we could have fixed it in 5 minutes had we known. Well, we did know what to do. We just didn't know we had to hold it for a little bit longer than what we thought was supposed to be done for.
Live and learn, I guess.
Yeah, I guess so.
But we can tell our listeners, if you have a Spectrum radio and something happens, then you can always hold the little scroll wheel while you turn the radio on. Hold it down for 15 or 20 seconds until it actually goes through its reset.
Yeah, it'll go through its little cycle. So it just was frustrating because, like I said, we lost a week. Luckily, Jim came through for us, and he loaned us 5 or 6 FreeSky receivers. And
yeah, he did.
He reprogrammed some planes, including the EDF, and we ended up having a pretty good time with it.
That's a whole other story.
It's another story. We'll talk about that in a little while. But it just was frustrating because I had a whole slew of planes to fly.
I know, right?
Or to be cleaned up with or
place
whatever, and we couldn't get. We just didn't have enough time to get to them all.
No,
which is a sad day.
But we got to a lot.
We did,
and we got to do some other stuff too because.
Yeah, we sure did. Case in point, the nice part about, I guess, your job and the benefits that you get and the people that and it's kind of a similar thing with me in the Air Force in the sense of, a lot of people. So if you're in a state, you go, hey, didn't so-and-so I knew back in, when I was stationed with that guy, doesn't he live here?
Right.
Or doesn't he live in the city next, an hour away or half an hour away?
True.
And you can just, whip out your little black book and say, who's in the area? Right. Hey, what's going on? You pick up like it was just yesterday. And the funny part was you had an individual that was here
Yeah, my friend Bill Surrat, who I worked with, actually flew with him. We flew in the same aircraft together, and we're in the same base together for a little bit. We flew a couple of trips, and he was looking at getting back into RC way back then, and has since retired and gotten back into it. And he actually came up, him and his son Tim, both great guys. They came up to the Electric Festival.
Oh, that's right. And just a couple months ago.
Yeah, and it totally surprised me. So he shows up, hey, look who's here, and they got to hang out for 2 days and participate. They mostly spectated. They didn't, of course, they are.
So they flew in, or they drove?
No, they flew in.
Okay,
and,
so they didn't have a plane, or
no, and that's why I said they mostly spectated because they just kind of flew up. But
no way.
But he knew, he's a podcast listener, and he knew about the Electric Festival. We were promoting it pretty good, and he thought, wow, this is a great time. And Tim is his son, and they said, hey, let's travel together, and we'll go up there and see Mike. So that's what they did. They came up and saw me and hung out with them, and they had a great time. And I told them, I was like, hey, I think I'm going to be coming down to Texas sometime soon, so I'll look you up when I get down there. And so anyway, I shot him a text and said, hey, I think right about the time you and I had made arrangements for me to come down, I told him, I said, hey, I think I'll be there this weekend. I'll be there for 2 weeks, and we'll
I'll give you a call.
I'll give you a call.
Shoot you a note.
Well, the first week was so
just
lightning blazing fast that I was just like, you looked at me on Friday or Thursday or Friday, and you were like, hey, did you call Bill? I was like, oh my gosh. Between it's like one of those domino effects. We lost the radio, the truck broke. It just was one thing.
Things
after
were going
another.
on. We're fixing stuff.
Yeah,
things were popping up. Yeah,
it just kind of one thing after another, and we were frustrated. But the whole week just kind of zipped by, and so anyway, we got to call. I called him and I said, hey, we're in your area and would love to come to your field and fly. And he's part of the Alamo Radio Control Society down in San Antonio. And where you live is not too far away, about an hour and 20 minutes.
Yeah, give or take with traffic.
Yeah, we had, I think it was last Thursday or Friday, I guess Friday. Anyway, we had some time, and we decided to go down and take a look at the field. So he said, hey, man, y'all come on down and bring some airplanes. We got a paved runway. It's a beautiful place, and let me know what time you're going to get there. So we hopped in the car and
crammed in the L-39.
Yep, that's right.
Tough wing, 3D plane, and I thought one other plane we were able to cram into the car.
Yeah, I can't remember what else.
But a thing of batteries and power supply, because they have the field, they have electricity there, so we brought down the power supply so we can mad jam power up our 6-cell 5,000 milliamp batteries.
Right.
And off we went on a road trip. Road tripping.
Yeah, we did. It was fun. We got there, texted him. We arrived probably around 2:00 in the afternoon, I think. Right, got right to the gate, and he let us in. And a bunch of people were waiting on us.
yeah. And it was kind of funny because we didn't even realize.
I thought it was just going to be him and Tim and us. Yeah, which is fine. I mean, I love that there's more people.
No. But I meant in the sense that
he asked me though. He said, "Do you want a lot of people there? Or do you want some people there?" And I'm like, "Oh no, it doesn't matter. The more merrier. If you want people to come, we don't care."
But it was kind of funny because there was folks that were there. We show up and we're like, "Oh, well, there's other people here going to be flying."
Yeah, sure.
And so we're meeting everybody, and it was great. They were a friendly bunch, and we're talking with everybody. We had a few other individuals came a little later. Immediately had whipped out their planes and they started flying. In fact, we were BSing so much that really
they were like
I can't remember the gentleman's name, but he was out and he flew. I want to say he flew 3 or 4 planes, or flights, because he was having a little bit of trouble with his glider and he was figuring some stuff out. He broke a prop, came back, fixed that, And by the time we finally stopped jibber-jawing and started getting ready to fly ourselves, I looked at the other individuals and I was like, there's only one guy, right now. I Bill had some planes. This guy had some planes and like nobody else did.
Right.
And that's, but it was slow that it dawned on me. I'm like, there's a few folks here, but nobody else is flying. So,
well, evidently they came out to say hey, and we appreciate that.
Oh yeah,
We're
most certainly.
Always willing to meet, RC flyers. They had some good stories, and we got to chat with some of them, and they wanted to see us fly, so we loaded up Tough Wing. That was what we took.
Yep.
Yeah, I put on a little demo for them and started out well.
No, I think, did we fly the L-39 first or did we fly the Tough Wing first?
No, I think I flew the Tough Wing first.
Flew the Tough Wing first? I thought we flew one other plane first, but I guess we came out with the Tough Wing, threw a battery in that.
Yep. That was the very first one.
Might put on a show, but I learned something new about the plane.
Yeah.
You have to Velcro down the escape or have very, very short leads.
Yeah.
Now, I've flown that. How long have I've had
You've
that
had that
plane
airplane
for
a long time.
like a long time.
Yeah.
So out of all the crashes, out of all the smashes, out of everything else, I've never had this particular problem that we had.
But I wasn't flying it.
That's true. Come to think of it, some of the things I discovered about the plane, I discovered because you were flying the plane.
Very first thing you discovered when I flew it was you need to Velcro the battery.
That's true.
Because I think it was way up and I got it going and did something or tumbled it or whatever and ejected the battery completely out of the airplane.
I think you were doing a series of rolls.
Could have been the same thing.
Right. No. So here's the reason why I've been having these mishaps. You're supposed to Velcro down the hatch cover.
Correct.
And I went with the, uber cool
magnets.
Yeah. Okay. But I don't fly nearly as aggressive. At the time, I didn't fly as aggressive. I was just putt-putting around the sky. Right. So I had, 100 flights in that plane. I never had this problem. You show up. Oh, boy. Zing. Off you go. He does, whatever rolls or whatever he did, and my battery went flying out, and the plane just came fluttering down to the ground. I'm like, whoa, what did you just do? What happened? Found the battery, found everything else.
Battery was
cut
crushed.
cut some slots in it, put everything back together, you Velcroed that sucker down, and then we discovered you showed me how to tumble it.
Right.
Shortly afterwards. And so now with the battery firmly secured, you could tumble the thing. You can do all sorts of other junk. I've had it hit the ground and just bounce across the ground, from having a near miss or something.
We've actually had mid-airs.
We've had several.
You and I have. I think you and Mike had some.
Yep. Normally, as we're trying to do it, we can't do it. But minute we look away or looking at a bird or something, it's Kamako. What happened? Oh, the plane's hit. Like wingtip to wingtip, and they're flying down around each other, or there's props stuck in each other's planes.
Right.
Anyway, so you were doing, you weren't tumbling the plane, but you were doing some aggressive rolls, I do believe. Or I should
mean
say
at the Alamo?
Yeah, at Alamo.
Yeah.
They weren't. They were supposed to be rolls. The plane, my plane, after it's a little old and she's creakety, so she rolls great, like to the left, and then she does kind of the.
Well, it's a different roll to the right because you're fighting the torque.
Right, the torque. Yeah. But, it's not axial. Not actual.
Axial.
Thank you. Axial. So it kind of was a little wobble to it,
Yeah, they get bigger because of the way. So it's not a real tight, just like a
drill bit.
Because this doesn't have ailerons. It's got elevons. So it's just a wing. It doesn't have a rudder.
Right.
So it uses ailerons and elevators simultaneously, the two control surfaces. So when you go the runway, it's actually an outside roll, right? And you're counteracting it. As it gets bigger and bigger and bigger, you're having to push forward on the stick every time you come around to kind of keep it into that little cone, or it'll just kind of spiral to the ground. So in order to keep it going that same direction, you're having to push. And I did about 3 or 4 of them. I don't know, Bill probably counted them, but I did a couple of them. And next thing you know, I got nothing.
Well, the prop started making a weird noise.
Mm-hmm.
It sounded like it became totally unbalanced.
Yeah, I wasn't really quite sure what was vibrating.
Yeah, it just made some and it made some, and then you pushed it a little harder, and then it went, and you had nothing. I got nothing. You were like holding the radio up. Got nothing.
Well, that's what I normally do because I go, to show that there's nothing at the radio. I go opposite sticks. Like no power and full one stick versus the other. So I'm like, okay, I got nothing, and I'm holding the radio up so that everybody, cause you can see that it's not me just crashing because it's still flying. I just have no control.
Right.
Just a habit, I guess.
And of course, the guys that were watching us were making comments, and they're just like,
the peanut gallery was awesome.
Oh, that thing's pretty loud. Wow, that thing's really fast.
I know they kept going lower, because I think I cut the grass once or twice with that thing doing about 100.
So when you did your maneuver, they were like, wow, that thing's really really maneuvers really quickly, and all of a sudden it made its noise. They're like, what's that? And then
that was it.
What's he doing? The plane's drifting down and skapoop, and almost in the farmer's field. So
yeah, I missed the fence by just inches.
Yeah, the nice soft part. Anyway, we walked out there, and they were like, "Oh, anything left? And we pick up the tough wing, look at it, and I'm like, "What's wrong with it? It looks fine. Didn't even break the prop, nothing."
No, it looked perfect. Like I could have just thrown it back in the air,
Yeah.
but I knew it wasn't working because
that part we couldn't figure out.
Yeah.
So we go back to the pits. The guys were all like, "Oh, is it in pieces? Oh, is it?" And they're looking at it, and we had it on the bench in front of them. They're just like, "So, like, didn't the battery something fell? What?
Yeah, what happened?
What happened?" And we kind of look at it, and I had the winglets. One of the winglets definitely got cut. It got ripped off. It got ripped out of the.
But I think that was in the crash. Though.
No. Yeah, that was in the crash. I think it hit the barbed wire fence.
Yeah,
when
probably
it
so.
hit the ground. Quickly, I whipped out some quick grip and slapped that on. I glued that whole thing back, and they're like, are you going to have to do, they're asking, do you have to, take the plane apart? Is the plane done? I'm like, nope. In fact, it will probably be flying in like 5 minutes. And I fixed the plane. Whatever little minor damage it had, we were ready to go. Went to power it up, nothing.
Yeah.
And I'm like, this is weird because everything's together. Nothing got pulled out. Went to check it again, and then I see it on the escape. There's a slash mark. And I'm like, oh, it's just the covering got cut. Then I peel back the covering just a little bit, and I look in there, and I can see there's some components that are missing. Some microscopic components that are on the that side of the board where it came through. It had just sheared those little transistors right off, And so that's why we weren't getting any power, or part of the reason. When we came back, and I totally took the thing apart when we got back home, Mike had also hit the one of the main capacitors, the big capacitors that stick out on the side of the escape. You basically, how they're long and cylindrical. Well, this was like a smashed beer can.
Yeah,
and I was like,
somebody stepped on it.
And then there was like little like fluid coming, cat fluid coming out of it or whatever. So I'm like, okay, there's your problem.
Right.
So
which is weird because the ESC sits flat.
Mm-hmm.
And then the receiver sits on top of it.
Yes, it does.
And the ESC literally pushed the receiver out of the way and slipped out far enough to get into the prop arc.
And the leads on the receiver aren't long enough because the servos come out and they barely reach the receiver. So that would hold the receiver in place. It wouldn't go out of the bay because of the leads. But the escape has the long leads from the motor, and they're a little bit longer. And the lead for the escape to go to the receiver is long as well.
Long,
so it's just long enough to pull out, go back into the stream, and just touch the prop.
And it barely touched it because we wouldn't have known. I mean, when we examined it, you just kind of had to peel some of the heat shrink on there and go, oh, well, it looks like there's some components missing. So, but anyway, it's that one was out. We couldn't fly it anymore. And I think at that point we jumped in there and flew your L-39, and you were all nerve bundle of nerves.
It's been a long time since I get that nervous.
I know. I don't know why you got that nervous.
Okay, folks, look. So this is a birthday present, right?
That's true.
That the person who gave it to me was actually here, helped me assemble it. Talked about all its quirks or anything that was wrong with it, set it up for me. Flew it.
Yeah, and test flew it. Almost twice.
Between all the flights, but had a couple of flights on it, got it tweaked for me, and then hands me the controls and says, okay, hit it. And I'm just like, oh, man.
I think you made me maiden this one more time.
I did because we switched radios.
Yeah, we switched radios.
So I put in a new receiver for the Free Sky stuff. So now we're flying on my Free Sky radio, so it's totally different. We had that all, I think we talked about it in the last podcast. How we had to program it and the Aura stuff, so we had to get that all figured out. And so I wanted you, since you had the experience, to make sure it worked all right. And sure enough, it worked fine.
Yep, I flew it around, and it was all trimmed up, ready to go.
In fact, you didn't fly it the whole battery. You just kind of
I just did
handed it to me. Said, "Okay, take off." And I'm like, "Oh boy." So once again, I'm nervous, and I'm finally getting to fly it. But I am kind of glad that we went there because their field is a lot more open than my field is.
That's true.
Not to say I needed all the room, but it was just a psychological. You can see for miles around you.
Right.
The only thing you could hit is a flagpole behind you. Not to jinx myself, to go hit it, but that was really the only obstacle that was out.
Well, there were some trees out there, but they weren't really super tall.
No, they weren't tall at all. And they were, like I said, they were spread out. But it was a nice field. Plus, it was like I said, it was a runway as opposed to a grass field. So
and actually, that really nice runway too.
That kind of gave me my confidence. But I don't know what it is about that plane. it didn't have bad characteristics. It was just my nerves of you. This is a gift you gave me.
Yeah, honestly, I've seen you that way the other with the beaver. Yeah,
right?
Yeah. And I understand that. I think I was probably like that when I got the Pitts S12 that you got me that time for Christmas or whatever it was. Because you came out, I waited for you to maiden it. Right. We went and maidened it on the golf course.
yeah, exactly.
Yeah, one of those guys were out there playing golf, and we were maidening this big airplane. But I think there was probably a little bit of nerves, for me too, because you put a lot of work into it. It's kind of a gift, and you don't want to really kind of
right.
I
don't want to have anything
standing there.
Right. I don't want to. Right. I don't want to dork it up while you're there and go, "Oh, sorry, Mike."
Exactly.
I only flew it for 2 seconds and messed the whole plane up.
Right.
Right. So anyway, folks, the good news is I did mess it up. I got some instruction. For the most part, I did damage it a little bit down at that field, only because after I think
that wasn't really your fault.
I think it was like the third or fourth flight we were flying it. I brought it in again. I was trying to make sure I had a good landing. My landing was a little long, so I had scraped at the wingtip because I turned it a little too quickly.
I was on the second flight.
Yeah, I was going too fast, so I was like, okay. I landed a little long. This thing has great landing gear. I'll let it go off the runway, and
Evel Knievel.
It's going to have no problem going across, the grass, because at my grass field, it was perfect. So anyway, I leave the runway and I'm on the grass, and all of a sudden, in a chorus, everybody goes, "Why'd you fly off that end of the runway? Or why'd you let it roll off? Turn!" Because everybody started yelling, "Turn! And I'm like, why am I going to turn? I mean, the runway it's flat. It's no problem.
Just grass on the other end.
Right. And so all of a sudden they're all like, turn. Oh no, he went off the end of the runway. Why did he do that? And I'm like, what's the problem? And they're like, oh, there's a ditch out there. And I go,
sure is.
And I'm like, a ditch? And they're like, oh, and my plane kind of slowing down. And I think it was Bill, the president of the club. He goes,
Bill P.
And he goes, oh, you missed it. And all of a sudden my plane does a wheelie. What? And I'm like, why'd my plane just do a wheelie?
Right.
And he goes, you missed the ditch. And I go, I don't think so. So I walk out there and I pick the plane up, and my rear landing gear was dangling. I'm like, gosh. Yeah. Look in there, folks. I know you could have a Monday or a Friday product, and this definitely was. Or they were trying to save some money on glue. There was hardly anything in that wheel well.
I don't know. There was 2 full dabs in there.
2 full dabs. Yeah, that was holding it on.
Yeah, it was like they had a little one of those bingo stamp things. And
exactly. It was like a little spot of nothing.
Yeah, they definitely whoever was working on it that day was running short of the glue.
Wang Chu didn't must have left to get his 5-second bathroom break or whatever.
He took his cigarette break. Yeah, well, anyway, it didn't damage anything, though. It just popped off. The glue just came loose from the foam. It didn't even tear any foam.
It didn't. It just, luckily, because there was no glue, it just came out clean. So then we put some Gorilla Glue on that, stuck it back in.
Yep.
We sat around for half an hour, jibber-jabbing, and went back out and flew. You flew it
I flew it again, yep. Came on in and touched down. Nice. It was actually a nice touchdown. And right as I rolled over, I took a little bit wider turn so I wouldn't scrape the tip, and I hit the grass, and the gear folded.
Yep. So it was almost cured. So.
Yeah, it wasn't quite cured. I had to wait a little longer. So.
Yeah, so just stuck it back in there, and it was fine. And we haven't had a problem since.
No, we've actually
back on the grass field. Yep. Haven't had a problem with it, but
so.
it was nice fun. And like I said, it was just excellent flying it out there. And I got to learn some techniques and some good pattern work, so I enjoyed it. It was a lot of fun once I started feeling comfortable around the plane.
Well, Bill, P, Phil, Lou, Darren, Fernando, Tim, and Bill, they were all there, and got to chit-chat with all those guys.
That's right.
We were lucky enough to sit down with Bill P., who's the president of the club. We did. And we're able to talk to him. So he had some good stories and talked a little bit about the Alamo.
Shy guy. I'm surprised he became president of the club.
No, I know.
Very shy, folks. He was like an introvert. We had to just peel, had to pry stuff to get it out of him. I thought he was going to cry a couple of times. I felt kind of bad.
He wasn't going to cry.
Yeah.
Super nice guy, though. And I'll tell you what, we got some audio for it. So why don't we talk to Bill and
sure thing.
Bill P. We'll hear what he has to say, and we'll be right back. Well, we're back with the Park Flyer podcast. Jay, we came out to the radio control field here in San Antonio, and we've got a guest with us.
We sure do. Not only just the guest, we have the president.
It's always good to have the president. Bill, welcome to the Park Flyer podcast.
Hi. I'm glad to be here.
Yeah. Well, we're excited to be here. We appreciate one of your members, Bill, has invited us out. It's the Bill and Bill Show, actually.
Yeah.
And we came out to fly today, and we've actually
and it turned into a gorgeous day.
It was. A little cloudy this morning.
We ordered that special for you.
Well, we appreciate that.
Yeah, Bill said you were coming, and I said, well, we got to have nice weather. Is that a joke or is that a joke? This weather's been so incredible here.
Well, why don't you fill us in? This the name of the field is?
Well, we call it Harold Cannon Field. He was one of the founding members of this club 40 years ago.
Wow.
And he passed away. It was it was 2007, right when we got the field. Mm-hmm. And we decided to name it. That's why up on top of there we've got a sign there, Harold Cannon Field.
Gotcha.
But it's Alamo Radio Control Society.
Okay.
And we didn't come up with that name. They came up with that 40-some years ago, wow, Radio Control Society, because I always get that look when I tell people, you're a society?
A secret society.
Yeah.
We do those RC things.
Yeah.
Secret.
Yeah. We're really special.
There you go.
We're special, all right.
Well, the club has how many members?
Right now, we bounce between 90 and 110. We've been as high as 125. Different years. It fluctuates. And this year has been a really strange year for us. Since December to now, we've picked up, I think it was 18 members as of this weekend.
And are they all brand new, like RC flyers? Or
No, right. This last group, we get our new people every year. That's pretty common. But this year, it seems like there must be problems in other fields around here that I don't know about, because we're getting experienced flyers.
Oh, good.
Yeah,
okay.
Yeah.
Great.
Well, Bill, you've been here now almost a year. Okay, it didn't seem like that long to me. Okay. Yeah,
time flies, right? When you're having fun.
Yes, it does.
That's the way we are all the time.
Kind of like this week with you being down visiting, right? It's been 2 weeks, and it's almost up.
It's almost up again. So.
Oh, my. Yeah. And this your first time out in 2 weeks?
No. It's first time to this field.
Okay.
We've been flying every day since I've been here. So.
Oh, okay.
Oh, yeah.
Okay,
yeah.
good.
Yeah, I got a place up where I'm at, and
we've
been out there flying with our good friend Jim and having some shenanigans up there. And then,
right.
like I said, Bill called us up, and, hey, we finally worked out a time to come down and meet, and here we are.
Absolutely. So it's a paved runway. How long is it?
It's 400 feet. 400 feet by 40 feet.
Okay.
And right alongside of it is another 40 feet by 400 feet of grass runway.
Very nice. Yeah.
Which right now our Bermuda grass is not growing yet. What's out there in its mode is weeds.
I gotcha.
It's just the weeds.
It looks like a typical, Texas grass to me.
Yeah.
It does.
But the Bermuda that we planted, the Bermuda grass doesn't grow. It goes dormant in the summer. In the wintertime. Then it just doesn't start growing until the ground temperature gets around 70.
Right.
So it's not coming up yet.
Right.
Well, I've noticed just a few guys that came out and flew today that some of them fly on the grass, some of them fly on the runway. So it just depends on the airplane that they have.
I think most of us try to aim for the runway and just kind of end up on the grass.
Yeah, and I tried to fly
awesome.
on the runway, and I said, "Oh, look, he's got enough grass. I landed a little long.
Yeah,
I'll just roll it off the end." Whew. And then everybody started yelling, "Way, turn!" I'm like, "Why? I got miles and miles of field. I mean, there's farmland as far as the eye can see. Turn!"
If you go the other way, go ahead, land toward the east.
Good.
You can roll out. We mow that.
Bill, I missed the sign.
You missed the sign?
There should be a sign.
Yeah,
land long this way.
Yes.
Turn. You should have a little thing. Turn before the last turn off before the end.
Right.
And then I would have said, "Huh." And then all of a sudden, like I said, I got to the end, and then I saw my plane hop, whoop, and I'm like, why did it hop like that? That's odd. And I saw something dangling.
Yeah, it's the landing gear.
I was hollering as a ditch.
Yeah. Oh, you must have missed it. I'm like, nope, I jumped it. That was the hop. It came through the ditch, came out, and jumped it.
Evil Knievel.
Yes, I did.
That ditch was put there so that when they water this other field here, that it goes around us. It used to run right through here.
Wow, that's fabulous.
Yeah.
Well, it's a beautiful field. I mean, it's set up really nice. I like the runway, and The scenery's great. The train going by looks cool.
Yeah.
The guys earlier were telling me when the train goes by, you guys on the quads jump out there and chase the train. That's kind of neat.
We fly right over the train at times. We kind of get down a little close to the engineers once in a while. We wonder if they see us. We don't know if they see us or not. Yeah. And they were working on it the other day, and I know they saw us because they had the work crew out there. I think it was Saturday. I don't know.
Yeah, we saw them when we drove in there.
They were working.
They're always working on these tracks.
Okay, absolutely. So.
But we were kind of not buzzing them because there are power lines there. You can't see the power lines really good until you get
not
real
until you hit the ground. You go, what happened?
You're real close to them, then you can see the power lines.
Yeah, absolutely.
You can see the poles, and that kind of gives you,
So what are you allowed to fly out here? You can fly electrics, obviously, gas, turbine.
We fly everything.
Everything.
Okay. We've got 4 or 5 people with turbines in different jets. Pete Dubry has got 3 or 4 of them, and we got a couple of Chris Little. He flies for, I think it's not Southwest. I know he was Southwest. It is Southwest. He's a commercial pilot, and he flies a couple different jets when he comes out.
Very cool.
And we've got Eduardo. We got about, I think, 4 or 5 guys with turbines, and they fly here very well. People have said, "Well, you can't fly turbines here; it's not big enough because of the houses." But it's not a problem.
No,
it's just
I don't have a problem.
Our overfly area is so beautiful, as you can see. I'm standing here waving my hands like people can see me.
We have the same problem with radio or podcast.
Yeah. We have a face for radio, so it's
that's
perfect.
good. That's good.
A lot of our interviews, guys, will start pointing places, and I'm like, our listeners don't really see it. So
yeah.
We're gonna have to start a YouTube channel. I
think so.
I think that's one of the nicest things about this field. Our other field that we left because of the housing development and the collapse in 2008, this building corporation was taking over our other field. They had bought the land, and they says, you got to go as soon as we start putting in the structure, the infrastructure, all the electric and everything.
Right.
So we went on a mad search of trying to find some place to fly, because without a field, you don't have a club.
Right. No, I
mean, it's just irrelevant.
Sure.
Where do you fly? And this was way before drones. This was in 2007. Well, readily available drones, put it that way.
Sure.
But, we talked to 100 different farmers and ranchers, and we got close on a couple times, but nobody would let you on their property. They once they talked to their family, and some people talked to their insurance companies, and it was a sad thing. We were really worried. And we ran into Joe, the guy that owns this place, and as you can see, all them homes, there was nothing there. Absolutely nothing right out to Shepherd Road.
Right.
It was completely nothing. And then his mother moved back from California. She put her place up.
Yeah.
And then her sister came, and long story about all that. And then Joe finally moved his house in over there. So they live there, and we fly over the houses all the time.
Well, that's great.
Not intentionally.
Oh, yeah. Right.
Yeah.
You're not supposed to.
Well, yes, you're absolutely right, but they don't mind. We had one guy out here with a big 3D plane, and he decided one day he was going to do his aerobatics over the house, and they got a little irritated at that.
Yeah.
So that put an end to that. And so the only time on approach, when you approach from that side, depending on your plane, how far out you need to come.
Well, it's a lot of area. I mean, you've got a good view. It's really flat. The trees, you were telling us a story about the trees earlier, but looks like you've taken care of most of that, right?
Yeah. And we decided to do that on probably one of the 110-degree days.
That's even
better. It was unbelievable. The picture of us.
Good planning.
We do that all the time in Arizona anyway. Everything seems to happen during the summer when it's super hot.
Yes, when it's real hot. Yeah. But we got rid of those trees and. Yeah.
Now, do you guys have a regular, I guess if you're a listener in the San Antonio area, you can kind of look you guys up. Where would they go to find you?
Go to Alamo Radio Control.com or just put down Alamo Radio Control Society in any search engine and it'll come up.
Perfect.
Virtually any of them at all. And we welcome all kinds of flyers. It doesn't matter if you're a glider. We've had guys with the rubber band gliders. Now there's with power gliders. We've got members that do both.
Sure.
And we've got members that are in the glider club. In fact, the one, Gene Trevino at the hobby store here in town, he's a big glider pilot.
Okay.
And I think he's been president of the glider club for a couple of years. And,
wow, that's neat.
But and he's instrumental in sending us new people that come into Hobbytown. He works at Hobbytown. Real neat guy.
Yeah.
Real neat guy.
I think we've been to
Yes,
Hobbytown, actually.
Yeah,
did
on
make a
Vance
stop the other
Jackson. And, 410, yeah.
Yeah, we were on our way down here, and it didn't take as long as we thought we were going to take.
So we had to waste an hour?
Had to waste an hour.
Oh, okay. Okay.
Well, that was our fault because we were like, oh, we got to go, and jumped in there. But, yeah, it was definitely worth the trip. We came down, and you got the people that we've met today have just been fabulous. They're very friendly. You've been open arms with us coming down from out of town, and we really appreciate you letting us find.
This club is the neatest bunch of guys. Whenever I need something or we need something for the club, all I got to do is just say it, and it usually ends up happening. Somebody's either got it or can get it or knows somebody that can get it.
Sure.
Well,
that's the good news, too.
Really well.
I think kind of Bill probably put the word out, but I think some of those guys just came down to say hello. They didn't really bring anything to fly.
Yeah, like me, I didn't bring anything to fly. I'm on my way home from work.
I know. I feel bad. We're dominating the whole runway. Just Jay and her out there flying. So.
No.
Well, we once again, we love that people have an interest in the hobby. That's part of what we do this for. It's just a labor of love for us, on the podcast that kind of keeps people, informed about the hobby. And we're starting to get out more and more now and kind of travel a little bit more and visit some other clubs. And would love it, if you guys would listen and, join our groups. And, if you guys got suggestions for us or stuff you want to hear, we love to have feedback.
Oh, I think it's a real important thing for us older guys that keep your mind working.
Sure.
And develop new things. And I was getting kind of, you peak out when you're an RC flyer, it seems like. I've seen enough come and go over the years and years and years of doing it. And you get real good, or you get to a plateau, whatever your plateau happens to be.
Yep.
And I'm on that decline, and that's when I started flying drones because I could see I was not flying the way I used to fly.
Right.
5-10 years ago, it was one of the hot shots.
Yeah.
Not anymore.
Yeah, no.
And
I hear you.
And I've watched it on so many people, and then I said, we need to do something to keep the older guys in here.
Yeah.
So if you're a member for 5 years in our club, and once you hit 80, you don't pay dues anymore.
Oh, that's a great idea.
That's awesome.
And that's a great idea for any other club, too, I think. And,
actually, I turn 80 next week, so that'll
me too. Give me a break.
Anything free. I mean, all it is a number.
Yeah, and really, yes, it is just a number if you keep at it.
Yeah, that's
the
true.
problem is too many people don't keep at it.
Right.
And they just sit around, and it's just not good for them.
No.
And even if you fly, we have one member that's 95 years old.
Yeah.
Another that's 90 that brought us a plane that he built in 1938.
Oh, my gosh. That would have been awesome.
38.
That
I wasn't
is
born
crazy.
till 43. I couldn't believe it. And this little fragile guy, you know who I'm talking about, Pete, he comes out here, and I mean, he is about as wide as your thumb.
Wow.
And about 5'2" or so. And he has been and done so many things. And it's incredible. He brought this Buccaneer out. And that's the kind of plane this is.
Right.
And it's about an 85-inch wingspan. And he said his brother sent it down from Ohio. Now, this guy's he just had his 90th birthday party. I was at it, and it was really neat. But it is so funny because to ship it down here, his brother cut the wing in 3 pieces with a handsaw. just a handsaw.
Are you sure his brother really likes him?
Yeah. He wanted to get him the plane.
This to you.
He wanted, and the motor. I didn't even know they made motors that well back then.
Yeah.
And I'm not really sure that the motor, and it's not branded. It doesn't even have a brand on the motor. But we got it running, and it run very well.
Huh.
And it was funny to. The really good part of the story was when he showed us the plane and he left, and he wasn't a member then. He didn't join, and I said, we're never going to see him again. He's going to go to put this thing together.
Yeah.
I couldn't believe it. A month later, he
was
brought
back.
the plane to the meeting, and that plane is so repaired. And if you go to our website, you'll see it in some of the pictures because
I'll do that.
Yeah, he not only put it all back together beautifully, and he put red lines right where it was sawn through with the saw, and it's silver. And this is a plane that was built in 1938. I mean, it's just absolutely incredible. And he put that thing back together, but he spliced it all back in. And to cover the joint itself, he didn't have any silver. He should have asked one of us. I got all kinds of it. But he put a nice red band. So it's a nice red band on each wing, and it looks like it was made that way.
Right.
And he did a fabulous job. And Pete is he's involved with the railroad in the Railroad Museum in San Antonio. If you ever get a chance, Jay, go to the Railroad Museum.
Okay.
And it's up there on what's the road? Wetmore and right by Thousand Oaks.
Yeah. Just came
there's a railroad museum there, and he builds models and has built models all of his life.
Wow.
Yeah. And the other old guy, I love talking to people older. The old guy, I'm an old guy, but talking to older people. Because the other, a 95-year-old guy, he used to race cars with the Offenhauser brothers.
Oh, no kidding.
Indy 500 cars. He personally knows Andy Granatelli.
Wow.
All these old names way back.
That was back in the open wheel, open cockpit.
Oh, yes. And he's got all the pictures to prove it.
Oh, I'm sure.
His workshop is just incredible. He used to build racing Mercury motors on the West Coast.
Oh, no.
For offshore racing boats.
Wow.
And he's got all the pictures of them, too. I mean,
wow.
when old Bob Palomini talks, a lot of people,
Sure.
He's just full of BS. No. I've been to his house. I've seen
I've seen the proof.
Pictures, and it's just amazing.
That
just
is funny.
amazing.
I love flying those because when I was a member of another club way back 20 years ago, we had an old guy that came out, and he was out on the line in a chair flying. So he had like a little chair, and he sat down.
That's me
there.
now.
Yeah. And anyway, he was out there for like 30 or 40 minutes. And we're like, gosh, dang it, man. That guy's got some serious battery power. He's up there for 30 or 40 minutes, So I was like, well, I'm going to go check on him. I walk over there. He's dead asleep. He's been sleeping for 35 minutes. And I look up, and I went, what was he flying? Yeah. So I was like, hey, sir, and I won't say his name, but, I'm like, hey. And he looks at me, and he goes, what? And I go, are you still flying? And he goes, well, yeah, I think so. And he looked up, and he goes, well, it's
gone.
It's gone. And I'm like, whoa. You can't just, like, sleep in your airplane's gone. And it was this little tissue and stick-built frog. I don't know if you remember those frogs, but you could get them. They came in like a kit off the back of a cereal box almost,
Okay.
But he put it together. It was all
Gillo's
tissue
kit,
paper.
probably.
Yeah, Gillo's kit. And anyway, it was all made of tissue paper. And I told him, I said, well, you can't just walk away. The thing is still up there, I'm sure, But nobody knew where it was. And he goes, it's all right. I'll just build another one. And I said, well, give me that radio. So I just put it into the spin. I just held the controls for a spin. And then next thing I know, somebody goes, hey, there it is. And sure it is. Here it just comes spinning out of the sky. I spun it down to pattern altitude. It came in, landed. He goes, hey, thank you, son. And he walks over, picked it up, got in his car, drove off. I was like, oh, my gosh. But, yeah, he was ready to walk away from that frog because he was like, I don't know where it went. I've been sleeping for 30 minutes.
And it stayed up there.
Oh, yeah, the whole time. It was a fabulous build. I mean, to be able to do that because the guy sat down. Literally, the thing was flying for 45 minutes.
Well, we're sitting here. You can see the church over there. That's about 3/4 of a mile away, would be my guess.
Right.
And we've had planes fly away and land in that parking lot.
No kidding.
Yeah. One landed in the parking lot, and we brought it back here. It was perfect. The guy worked over there or was going to church or whatever.
You guys lose this?
Yeah, that's exactly what. And that has happened at least 4 times.
No
at least
kidding.
4 times. Now we look out this way.
Yeah, as much
straight
trees.
out there. I'm talking miles out.
Yeah.
Bob Palomini, he lost 2 or 3 out there. He'd always loved. This is our 95-year-old buddy, and he'd always like to fly fast because he was always involved in racing.
Sure.
And he just wouldn't slow down, and he'd put these gigantic electric motors with batteries, 2 batteries like yours there, and it had to go fast, and he's slowing down now. But one day, I've walked them tracks I don't know how many times with him looking for his planes over there because he gets them so far out.
He can't see
dots.
And what's really funny, his vision is so great. Like you said, and he tells you, I got 20/20 vision, and that was a couple of years ago. But the last one I was out there with him was probably, maybe 2-3 years ago. Mm-hmm. But the farmer brought back, and he lives 3 miles up Montgomery Road, almost to where this other guy lives now, that Lou was just here. And he brought it back. And we had another guy down south, Rick Saucedo. He lost one of his planes down the street that way, and
brought it back.
The guy wanted $30 for it to get it back. That kind of ticked me off.
Yeah, that's sad.
But the rest of the guys bring them back, and no problem at all.
Well, at least they know you're here.
Yes.
Right?
Yeah.
Yes.
So how long have you been in this location?
2007 we moved in.
07, you said it earlier.
Yeah, it was in 07, yeah. We flew off the gravel at first because we couldn't come up with the money to put the runway in. It was $30,000 to put the runway in.
Yeah,
and
I know.
we come up with a unique thing. We all, at the time, paid 2 years' dues in advance.
Very smart.
That put us over the hump, and we just had the next 2 years to skip by. We didn't spend money on anything.
Right.
Anything. There's a plaque over here it's got, you see the blue plaque on the first aid thing? That's all the guys that paid at least 2 years' dues in advance.
That's nice.
And that way, because we had members that were going to finance it.
Wow.
And they said, well, just pay us back, And I said, no, we're not going to.
Yeah, it's tough to do.
I don't want to get into a loan and all that baloney.
Right.
Let's just, we're here, let's do this. Just pay 2-3 years in advance, and that's what we did. And we got our money, we paved it, and we take care of it really well.
Yeah, it looks really nice. I love it. So.
And it's been there now, and it was done professionally. It was done by a road crew that builds roads, and there's only one spot that's really strong enough to drive across, and that's goes out to the pond out here, from right over here out there, and that's where he drives across. The landowner drives across with his tractors.
I gotcha.
But nowhere else does anyone ever drive on it. That's why it stays so nice.
Wow. So, Bill, do you guys have events during the summer or during the year?
That is a long story. I'll try to shorten it. We used to have after our meeting the following Sunday, we have what we call our fun fly.
Right.
And we would have competitions, touch and goes, climb and glides, limbos, and doing all kinds of different things. And what we found, and we would see it, once we started the competition, people would start leaving. We'd have 20 pilots here. And once we started competing, people were leaving.
Right.
We said, well, this is pretty dumb. Let's just not do any competition and keep flying. And by God, that we've done that, and it's worked out just beautiful.
Excellent.
It's a relaxed kind of flying atmosphere. We're not a competition club.
Right.
And I'm the first to say that,
Sure.
We just don't seem to fit in with the guys that do serious competition.
Right. Yeah,
because you got to practice, and you got to practice intently.
Right.
I mean, to get really good at this hobby, I don't care. Good at anything.
Hey,
you got to practice.
Any hobby.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, my club that we had in Alaska, that's what we were. We were a fun club. In fact, it was in our name. But the reason being is that the older club that was there, which oddly enough, the name was ARCS as well, they were a competition club. And that's what they were all about, was competition, high-end stuff. And then some other guys would come in with their little foamies. Well, foamies weren't big at the time, but just simple planes. They were kind of scoffed at and shunned. And basically, that's how the club got formed. The president was kind of tired. The guy who formed the club was kind of tired of getting shunned at the other clubs. So he just formed his own club, and kind of in the charter, we couldn't have any competitions. Unless they were like impromptu fun competitions.
We're not quite to that point.
Yeah,
we still do maybe 3 times a year we'll do something out here, and we'll have a climb and glide or a circle landing. Do a circle land hit, and you got to land in there. But we don't do it as we used to do it, where every month it was competition.
Right.
And that just seemed to turn off too many people. And it was the same guys winning all the time.
Yeah, that's true.
It
gets old quick.
In every club, there's the one group that are the really intense
those guys.
Flyers. Yeah.
No, my club has a couple of really good, high-ranked world champion type stuff guys. So, nobody would come there and do a competition against that guy either.
No,
so
we had one big. We call it a big event. It was a 3D event down here that we had Andrew Jeske and there were about 30. They were here for the whole weekend, Thursday through Sunday.
Oh wow!
And we had a campground kind of set up over here.
That's cool.
Yeah, and it really worked out really well.
Oh,
but boy, what a bunch of guys they were! They were just so neat And they had all their big planes.
Sure.
1/3 and up to 50%
Yeah.
extra 300s,
Yeah.
4-cylinder gas engines. The whole route.
Right.
And these guys came from all over. And Jeske flew down just to fly.
That's amazing.
In it. And it was really cool having them here. And it was a wonderful weekend. It just worked out good. And if you can get my wife out here for 3 days watching, that's
a good.
She never
That's a good sign.
She says that's like
There
watching
you go.
grass grow.
Yeah, that's a good event. Good
Yeah,
event.
Yeah, it was really good.
Well, before it gets too dark, let's go fly some more, if you'd let us.
Oh, jeez. Go right ahead. Go right ahead. Yes.
Well, Bill, we
That's what we're
appreciate
here
you
for.
letting us come down here. We appreciate you joining us on the podcast. And, man, it's been a great day and a great group of guys. We've enjoyed it.
Thank you.
So
Thank you.
we appreciate
You're welcome to fly here anytime.
All right.
Pleasure.
We'll do it. All right.
Thank you very much.
Okay.
Back to the field.
Okay.
Well, that was fun. Bill's a great guy. I really liked hanging with him, and he's a funny guy.
Absolutely.
He's been around a while.
Yes.
It's amazing. So, yeah, if you're in the San Antonio area or the Austin area, or you're just visiting San Antonio, make sure you look up the guys down there at the Alamo Radio Control Society. They do have a website.
They do.
I think Bill's got his number on there. You can give him a call, and they are way open. They were super nice hosts.
They were.
Loved having. Loved visiting down there. Super nice runway. Oh my gosh, it's a really nice field.
Yeah, and I like the fact that it had power.
Yeah,
because for you and I being electric guys, and now that you've gotten me into the bigger EDFs, being able to bring down my power supply and hook power, putting it in and cranking it up to 10 amps to recharge these batteries is a plus.
That's true, and unfortunately, in the story, it just typical for us.
Yeah.
We jump in the car, we come down there, and we forgot the little adapters for our battery.
And we forgot the batteries for the laser.
Yeah, so we forgot the little 500, and believe it or not, they were both sitting right here on the counter.
Right, so
when
we
got
wouldn't
back,
forget them.
So, yeah, and I told Jay, don't forget these, and he said, don't forget those, and we're like, yeah, okay, and we forgot them.
Absolutely.
But Bill Surrat was nice enough. He had a really nice charger, and he
hooked us up.
He was like, you know what? You guys fly as much as you can down here because you're guests. I come here all the time.
Yeah, he might have regretted that.
Yeah, I think so. But
because we were definitely using his charger.
we definitely dominated that thing with 2 5-cells, man. But he brought down the P-51, the old Crow, and
a 70 millimeter EDF,
and a 70 millimeter EDF, and he flew those both of those great flying airplanes.
Yes.
Good news is we have a chance to sit down and talk to him as well about what got him back into. So let's hear what he has to say.
Let's do it.
Well, welcome back to the Park Flyer Podcast. Jay, we got another special guest today, Bill Surrat. He's a friend of mine from way back when, and he invited us down to fly at the Alamo Radio Control Society, and he's going to tell us a little bit about how he got back in. So you were flying before, right, Bill?
RC?
Uh-huh.
Yes.
Okay, so he's flying RC before, and how long ago?
Oh, it was back in the mid-'80s.
Back when they had tubes, right?
Well, yeah, we had the buddy boxes, and this was an old lieutenant colonel at the air base I was stationed at.
Right.
It was a non-flying assignment for me the first 8 months, and I thought maybe it'd be a good time because I used to build models, all sorts of plastic and the old stick and balsa and combats, and used to fly them on steel cables, but I never did RC. So I thought maybe this is a good time, and this lieutenant colonel I used to work with said, hey, I've got a buddy box, and what's that?
I'll be your buddy.
That's right.
And so
I've heard about guys like you.
Yeah. But it was, it was very daunting for me because it's a lot harder than I thought it was. But no, it was back in that time period, and I got it all figured out, built my old Eagle 63, and never crashed it.
Wow.
But,
That's amazing.
Never crashed it.
Oh,
and
man.
I loved building the monocoque and the balsa, and that was a lot of fun. I had an OS Max 41 ABC engine in it, and that was a lot of fun. I used to enjoy going out there in the cornfields. They had a little grass strip that I'd go fly at, and this is out in Illinois. But then I left the Air Force and went to the airline world and kept flying it. Was going to build another one, but I just flew the heck out of that thing and was getting really comfortable and doing inverted passes over the runway. Almost crashed it, but I never did.
Oh, wow.
And But at one time I said, I really don't have time to fly this anymore, and I kind of sold all my gear, got out of the hobby, and so someday I'll pick it up.
Right.
And so I did later on. It just took me 25, 30 years.
So just kind of a little background. Bill and I did work for the same company. I think Bill's retired now, but he made the decision to punch out early. I still got a little ways to go. But anyway, we flew together, and we got to talking about RC stuff, right? And Bill told me that story, and I was like, man, you got to get back into this. So
Michael's the big reason why I was. It was you, and there was another guy I used to fly with who was saying the same thing all the time, but you especially. And I kept your contact information. I said, someday I'm going to do this, and I did. And thanks to you.
Oh, I appreciate that.
So what made you? What was the thing that turned you? I mean, I know for me, same thing. 20 some odd years ago, I decided to get into it. Built a kit. Took me a month. Built it. But I was by myself, went out there, threw the kit through the model. It flew down the field. I was doing great. Turned it. When it was coming towards me, about 10 seconds in, smashed it. Came back a month later after I rebuilt the thing, flew it again. 15 seconds down the field, great. Turned it. 10 seconds, I touched the stick in the dirt. And I said, that was 30 seconds, and that took me a whole month. So I'm out.
Yeah.
And then I got back into it because my daughter, I think I bought her for Christmas a little air hog. It's just a little, Mattel RC.
Yep. Used to be like a Hot Wheels thing.
Yeah, and so we bought it, and we went into the parking lot next to us, and just had dual motors and just did the differential thrust thing. It worked great, and you couldn't break it.
Nope.
And I was like, wow, this stuff has changed a lot. Let me look into this. And I got online and started looking, and I'm like, this stuff has changed tremendously. And it's so much cheaper.
Yeah, it is cheap.
That's what I remembered Michael telling me about a lot when we were flying together, that, hey, they've really changed it. Let's start telling me about foam airplanes. I said, I couldn't even imagine what that was, that electric. And so I said, I really hated cleaning up the airplane when I was done with it.
Yep, slimers, yep.
I didn't like that part of it at all. I said, boy, I have to spend a lot of time cleaning up. Boy, if I ever do this again, it's going to be electric. So I decided to go all electric and foam, but that was down the road when I retired.
Right. So once again, how did you get to this club?
Well, I checked with a few clubs in the area, made some calls, and this one particular one had the best looking flying field for number one. And number two, there was another one that was grass, another one was way on the other side of the city. I just, from talking to the club presidents, which you already talked to, he was a really, really friendly guy. And I went to one of the club meetings, and they just blew me away how friendly they were. And I said, boy, this is where I feel at home. Mm-hmm. Went out to the flying field and flew. I said, what a great setup. So that... But I already ordered the airplane. I used a Carbon. Got on the phone. I'm committed.
Yeah.
Got a Horizon Hobby Carbon Cub, the one with the Safe Plus. I said that'd be a good thing, me getting back into it, because it's been 30 years, over 30 years. And I go, that'd be a good thing to start out with. But I'm going to get out here and just flail, just go for it. And I had a ball. And I said, man, I waited too long to get into this.
I know it's really a disease, I think. It kind of catches on you. And you're lucky your wife's not after you, yet. But you still only have a few airplanes in your inventory. Four airplanes. Yeah, wait till you get up to the 40 or 50 mark. Then your wife starts looking at you and shaking her head. So
yeah, with 4, she's asking me, where are you going to put the next one?
Exactly.
This room seems nice.
Yes.
That's exactly what I said.
What's all this sewing stuff in here?
And I'll tell you, that did not go over very well.
Yeah, no. Never does. Never does.
Oh, man.
Well, Bill actually flew out to the Electric Festival and hung out with me.
He did.
There.
Unfortunately, I wasn't there.
Yeah, that's right.
Fantastic time.
Yeah.
And you were a great host.
Well, thanks.
Fantastic.
I didn't do much. I was running around most of the time just mating in everybody's airplanes. But, I really felt bad I didn't give him as much attention as he probably deserved.
No, I've had a blast.
So, good.
My son's still talking about it.
Oh, good. So I see you brought with you today the Viper.
Yes.
And the Old Crow, which is a free-wing product. Free-wing product, I believe. And both fly fantastic. Mm-hmm. Now, part of the good thing about the RC, and that what we've noticed kind of, in our career growing up in the RC world, the setup is half the battle.
Mm-hmm.
You know, when you set something up and it flies, it's set up very well and it flies real well. It seems to be easier transition than guys that slap it together and go out there and try to flop around in it. It's not made, you know, it's
right.
Kind of
trims
are
all
out and everything. But
control surfaces are uneven.
Now that I've actually seen both the airplanes fly, I can tell that you've taken a lot of time, put a lot of energy and effort into it, and it flies just fantastic.
I will tell you that exactly is, man, that's exactly 100% correct. I spent so much time dialing in the throws, making sure everything was balanced perfectly, the CGs, the recommended ranges, and I, trying to make sure everything was set to streamline zero. What do you call that? Like the elevator aligned with the wing or the elevator route and all that. Just making sure it's absolutely matches, especially with two different elevator servos.
Sure.
So, and I tell you what, the Viper, since I took so much time with it, the first time I flew it out of the box, dialed in. You could look at my trims, zero. I've never touched the trim since.
That's awesome.
They were just dialed in right in from the box.
Yeah. Vipers are good, though. I mean, a lot of the ones that I've flown are dialed pretty close. I mean, I don't think I've ever had to add more than 1 or 2 notches of trim in them anyway. They've got a really good wing on them. Whoever designed that wing did a good job.
Right.
They fly, they slow down. They're just overall, they're good airplanes to get back into it. And that was your first one that you got back in with, right? Or did you get with the Cub? You said the Cub.
The Cub was the first one. Then I got the Free Wing P-51.
Okay, and then now this is your first EDF, though, right?
Yeah.
So what's okay, that's 3. So what's the 4th plane?
Oh, well, the 4th one is my son's Sport Cub. I'm using to teach him. So
excellent.
He's actually flown it with me as the wireless buddy box in basic
Very
mode.
nice.
I've never touched the stick. So
Good.
Nice.
He's done that.
Did a good job. Yeah. And actually, we brought him a new one.
I
So
can't
now you
believe
got
these
5.
guys. They're the best. They're the best.
We got him a little indoor flyer this time so he can fly around his house. He doesn't have to come out so far.
Another reason my wife will say, maybe this is not good.
Well, just wait till after dinner or when she's out of the kitchen and you won't be flying around.
No,
Or
she'll
at least
be
in the
happy.
front yard.
Yeah,
or,
front yard.
She'll be happy. Nah, she's happy for 10.
So what's next? Well, I mean, like, it's always the next plane, right?
Right, yeah.
So what are you thinking? Are you going to stay in the same vein? Or are you going to try venture into something new?
Well, that Viper gave me the bug for other EDFs.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm looking at an F-16. I want to go into some more EDFs, even though I thought there would be too much work, just too much speed, flying around, get my loose sight or whatever, but loved them so much. So I'm going to get some more.
So are you going to stay in this size range? Are you thinking something bigger?
That's a good question. I want to save on the battery, so right now I'm thinking 70, no more than 80 millimeter.
Okay. Well, I'll tell you, I have the Free Wing A10. You saw that one.
Yes.
It flies amazing, and it would be great for out here.
Yeah, we have somebody in the club that has one. I think a couple of them have.
Yeah.
It looks like fun.
Oh, yeah. It's a real fun. Now that we have mine dialed in, it flies so scale. And it'll land on grass or the pave, so it doesn't matter. You can fly it off of either.
That's what's that? 80 or twin 70?
It's a twin 80, but you could, if you wanted to, put twin 90s on it.
90s.
Up
the power.
Yeah, but that's up to you. I mean, they sell the nacelles separately that you could do that, but I know of maybe 1 or 2 guys that have done it. Most of the guys, the 80s got enough power. You really don't need 90s. It almost gets out of the scale regime. It doesn't look scale anymore.
No, because you're hovering
so
it.
fast.
When you get to hover your 810.
Yeah.
So, quick question here. We have listeners that have kind of contacted us, and they said that they are in the same boat that you are. And I think it's great that we get to talk to them because we've had guys that ask us, hey, man, I was in the hobby when I was a kid. I flew Cox. I flew, whatever was out there. How do I go about getting back in? And this was something that you were just kind of in the process of doing. I mean, I know it's been a couple of years since you and I talked, but how did you go about getting yourself back in?
Well, that's a good question. The first thing I did was I went out and bought a simulator.
Ding! There you go.
That is
ding,
a man
ding,
after
ding.
my own heart.
All right, right there.
Bought a Real Flight at the time it was 7.
Right.
And I used that. I flew on that for months.
Perfect.
Before I got the airplane. And the first time I went out and flew the airplane, it was like I had never left.
Yep.
Right.
That's the biggest piece of advice I could give them.
There
Get
you
a
go.
simulator and go.
I wholeheartedly agree that you will save, to our listeners, you will save a whole bunch of time and effort
money.
and frustration.
And money.
Yep.
if you just get a simulator and just spend, a couple hours a day, half an hour after you're doing something with the kids and just play a little bit.
Yep.
I would do it for hours. Yeah.
But, as much time as you can. But the fact that you get one, because I know this guy, he was a nut for the simulator, and it's paid off for him. Like you said, you save yourself so much time, frustration, like you said, money.
Oh yeah.
So now you got the sim. You're all geared up. You're feeling comfortable with the sim. Where's your next step? How did you decide on what airplane to get?
Well, to be honest, totally. I called up her. I think it was Motion RC.
Okay.
I called them up and I said, "What's a good airplane to start with? Here's my situation," and they recommended the Carbon Cub.
There you go.
They said, "Oh, this is exactly. It just came out. I think. Oh,
you
need this." But, well, it sounds good to me.
What a great sales guy! Which one do I need? Oh, this $1,000 model is just for you.
Actually, it was pretty reasonable. I don't remember how much it was.
Yeah, I think they were when they went on sale. They were only like $199 or
something like that.
Yeah, I mean, it was
$199 or something like that.
Yeah.
We love the fact that you're back into the hobby and that you're a listener. And, man, it's
too.
Great that you invite us down. We've had a great time so far, and I think we should get back out there and fly some more.
Well, actually, I think that we might have to put something on our webpage.
Yeah.
With Bill on it, and that way he can also tell us if he gets another plane. He can, if he becomes a member for our webpage, he can get on there and post something.
He's on there already.
I'm on there.
Oh, that's right, he is.
Yeah, he didn't take too long at the Electric Festival. I think he joined the page. So,
awesome.
So, if it's the Park Flyer Podcast Facebook listener, or it's on Facebook, and it's the Park Flyer Podcast listeners page. And, if you got guys in your club that are interested, we'd love to have them on there.
That's right. Or just like today, you're doing something fun, take a quick pic, put it on there. Say, hey, I'm out the field. Hey, I'm doing this.
Well, that's what I took some pictures today of you doing your podcast here to put on our club.
There you go.
Excellent. So, so when this podcast comes out, because we always kind of do a couple in advance, but when this comes out, we'll send it to your club, and you can tell everybody, hey, listen to me on the podcast.
Sounds good.
All right. Local celebrity.
Well, hey, man, thank you very much for joining us, and let's get back out and fly some.
All right, let's go fly.
Perfect. Well, man, I really appreciate Bill hosting us down there.
Absolutely.
And it's a lot of good information. I know that we basically have had listeners that have wondered how to get back into it, and he had a great story. I mean, all of his suggestions are great. Call who you need to call, ask around to those that need to ask around.
Get a simulator.
Give us an email, get a simulator, all those kind of things, they're great. And I appreciate the fact that he, kind of credits me with him pushing him into it. I don't really know how much of that I actually did, but he says that he got in. He said he got in because of me, but I'm always willing to help people get in to the RC world. I love it. I know you love it. It's kind of a labor of love for us anyway, and it's fun to have people that get in.
I just like spreading the virus and the sickness. I just get the glee knowing somebody has it worse than me. I care less about the rest.
Well,
of the
you
stuff.
got me that's worse than you.
I know. That's what I love about it.
I know, right? It's funny. So, well, unfortunately, our hour's up. We didn't even get to talk about all the shenanigans that
Yeah. For the last day or two. Okay. Well, I guess we could talk. I mean, you were down here for 2 weeks, so
that's true.
I guess we'll talk a little bit about that our next podcast or so.
Well, we'll have to do that. Well, we once again want to give a shout out to the Alamo Radio Control Society. If you are listening and you're from the Alamo Radio Control Society, jump onto our Facebook page. It is the Park Flyer Podcast Listeners Group. Just answer a quick question about why you love RC. We'll approve you, and then you can join our group. We'd love to have you as part of our listeners. You can post photos. I think some of the photos of our visit are already on our page.
They're up there.
Bill actually sent them. So take a look at those. We're going to try and come back down to the Alamo Radio Control Society field. That was a fun time. So I think on my next trip, I think I'm going to definitely will hit those guys up.
And I like flying off of something nice and smooth and not so bumpy as the cow field that I'm at.
Yeah, that's true. So, well, we still have Phil. He attended I think it was a RC event down in Miami, and I think our next
and our travel budget has just quadrupled this year.
Thank you, everyone, for using up the time that you have in your travels to contribute to the Park Flyer podcast. I know when I came down here, somebody said, "Wow, the travel budget," because that seems to be a thing, with us on the podcast. But it's nice to have other people contribute to our
It is.
podcast show. So I think 2 weeks from now we'll hear from Philip and listen to some of his interviews. We appreciate him. Appreciate the Radio Control Society, and like I said, go to our listeners page. And for Michael here in Arizona,
and Jay from the hills of Texas,
signing off. We'll see you in 2 weeks.
Let's go fly.
Let's fly.
You have been listening to the Park Flyer Podcast. Thank you for joining us, and we look forward to your next visit. Please give our show a star rating and review, and feel free to email us your questions, topics, or suggestions to parkflyerpodcast@gmail.com.